Okay, hi everyone. I can see a lot of people are here already, and there are some people that I think I know already, and some people that I feel that I've met for the first time. So, hi everyone, welcome to today's session. I'm sure you guys can actually see the excitement that I have for today's session because we have such a special person with us today. And apart from that, we have a lot of things in store for you. We have a lot of things that we have planned for you, and also, one more thing, I think we are going live on YouTube right now. So, anybody who is joining us from there, hi everyone. Hi to the people who are joining in from YouTube. And welcome everybody to this session. As I mentioned, we have a lot of things planned for today, especially for people who are going abroad for their fall 2024, spring 2024. We're going to be discussing a lot about your journey, about the application process. We will also be taking care of specifically your documentation because we know a lot of people face a lot of problems. And today's session is specifically for people like you, like me, who throughout the pandemic have been sitting at home, but we want to actually start our journey abroad. We want to go ahead and we want to start this journey. So we'll be taking care of some easy tips and tricks that you can actually start right now to make sure that your journey abroad is much more smooth for people going for fall 2024 and for spring 2024. So let's get done with introductions first. Hi everyone, my name is Morvi, and I am also a study abroad enthusiast because there is so much to talk about in this space, and I really like to have discussions and have conversations with aspirants, with professionals in the field, because there is so much to learn and you can honestly never stop learning when it comes to universities abroad and the application process. So yeah, that's about me. And also, I always say this, I think this has become like a tagline, that I'm from a place with very, very unpredictable weather, and I'm from Jaipur, Rajasthan. Is there anybody here who's joining us from Rajasthan, or anybody joining us from North? Actually, I would also want to hear from you guys. Where are you guys joining in from? So please feel free to use the chat box or the Q&A, whichever one is working and whichever you feel comfortable with. I want to hear from you guys. Where are you guys joining in from? Because a lot of times our sessions tend to go international. We almost always have international audience. So yeah, drop in and say hi. We have somebody joining in from Punjab. Okay. Hi. Also, I have a small poll for you guys that I'll actually really like you guys to quickly go ahead and answer, so that it will help us decide what should we talk about for the rest of the session. Okay, as expected, some fall 2024 audience. I hope this poll is visible to everybody. Okay, fall 2024. There's somebody for fall 2023. Who here is for fall 2023? Can you quickly raise your hand and let me know, please? US, Canada. Oh, for the second question, okay, Kenneth. Okay. For the second question, it's a multiple choice question. You can actually choose more than one options. And okay. Most of the people would fall under the beginner intermediate section. Okay, understood. And there's somebody who want to go for others. Somebody under the country choice, somebody mentioned others. So I want to hear from the person who has chosen the option of others, which country do you want to go for other than the popular choices that I've mentioned? And guys, feel free to use the Q&A if you guys have any questions in the middle of the session. If you guys have any things that you'd like us to particularly discuss, if you have any roadblocks or any problems that you'd actually want our expert here to answer, please go ahead and use your Q&A box. Okay, and there is somebody who's already started the application process. Awesome. Great. So all in all, I can see that you guys are already aware of what you need to do and where do you want to go. So very good. Congratulations for actually being on time. For people who want to go for fall 2024, you're absolutely on time. And for people who want to go for spring 2024, do not delay further. Kenneth, for you, you have to buckle up, but you have to make sure that you are not delaying it any further. If you want to, okay, Kenneth, which country and which course do you want to go for? That will help me decide. And also from everyone who's here, I have this one question that I'd like you guys to answer really quickly. Is the country and the course that you guys want to go for. Just that, the country that you want to go for, the course that you want to go for. Usually you can also mention the countries that you want to go for. So it can be US, Canada, or UK, Germany, whichever, and the course that you want to go for. Come on, guys, you have to make sure that the energy is high. Otherwise, how are we going to enjoy the session? We have to make sure that, we have a lot of... Kenneth, you can use the Q&A, that's fine. If the chat is not working, if the chat is disabled, guys, this is for everybody here. If the chat is not working, use the Q&A box, please. MS and CS in USA or Canada. Okay. Great. I want to do UG in CSE in USA. Okay, Ubaid. Okay, so we have a bachelor student. By the way, Ubaid, let me tell you, we've had such a huge increase in bachelor students, and they have been getting such strong admits. So congratulations for actually, starting your journey. Jaideep says MS in Health Informatics USA and Canada, Spring 2024, CS in USA, Data Analytics USA, MIM in USA. Okay, PhD in Germany, Ujjwal, awesome. I'm going to go for US, Computer Science. Okay, we have Prabhavati who wants to go to Canada for PG in Food Science. Awesome. Okay, so we have a mix of people today. We have okay, guys, first of all, thank you so much for all the answers. And I can see that we have such a mix of people here today. And I can see that obviously we have US is popular, data analytics, information system, computer engineering. But I think I have in the recent sessions, food science, Prabhavati wants to go for food science. There's somebody who wants to go for PhD in Germany, MIM. Awesome. So I can see that you guys are already, okay, we have data science, MSc in Canada. Awesome. So you guys have such a strong understanding of the space already, which I personally feel is a great sign. So guys, congratulations once again for actually starting your journey pretty early. Now I have one small question for you. How many of you know exactly what the application process is like? So do you know exactly what happens when you put down your application from start to the end? This is a question that I almost ask everybody, because I'll tell you the reason why I ask this is a lot of people have this misconception that your application process only starts with putting down your applications. I want to know this answer. Okay, we've gotten one for Masters in Civil Engineering. Awesome. And guys, don't use the anonymous attendee. Do not, this is such a pet peeve. Do not use anonymous attendee, okay? Okay, guys, so how many of you can use the raise hand button also, that's completely fine. You can use the raise hand button in Zoom. So how many of you feel that you know exactly what the application process looks like? So we have Kenneth, who knows it. And no, I know about the common app, but no further. Okay. And okay. So guys, let me just quickly help you guys understand what your application process is going to look like before I actually hand over today's session to the star that we have today, to our guest that we have. So your application process essentially starts with choosing the right course and choosing the right country for yourself, which I think you guys have already got that sorted. I don't feel... Will you help in shortlisting in universities? I want to do UG in CSE. I got 14, 17 SAT and I have 3.16 GPA. Thank you. Yes, anonymous attendee. I can help you to some extent, but I'll actually give you, I wouldn't give you exactly how to do it, but I'll give you proper tools and I'll give you proper technique, which will enable you to do it. So you might want to stick for the entire session so that we also have a Q&A, okay? So guys, as I was mentioning, your course and your country is obviously going to be sorted. It's done. So congratulations on that. So the next step is shortlisting universities. This is where a lot of people tend to have a problem. So how many of you here feel that, oh, shortlisting universities might be problem, like a small problem for me? We have Kenneth, we have Nishtha, Rishikesh, okay, Sahil, Vishaka, okay. Okay. We have a lot of people who feel that how to shortlist a university is a problem. We'll take care of that also. I'm already getting questions, which is great. Okay, so next is shortlisting universities. You want to make sure that you're shortlisting universities based on your profile. One thing that I want to tell you is never shortlist universities based on somebody else's profile. You never want to do that. Make sure that the universities that you're shortlisting for yourself are based on your profile. So the next step is going to be to build your profile. Okay, so it can lead anywhere from projects, it can be internships, it can be anything that actually helps you obey those. So, okay, so it anything that will help you stand out from the crowd and shows your motivation and passion towards the industry that you're going for, which is then followed by giving your standardized test, your English proficiency test like IELTS, IELTS, PT, TOEFL, very small cases, Duolingo also, and then your GRE, GMAT for students going for bachelor's, that would be your SATs and ACTs. Anybody here who's already given their IELTS, GRE, GMAT, TOEFL, PT, any of those standardized tests? Okay, Rishikesh has, Vishaka has, Harish has. Okay, great. So you've already gotten a head start. Sai also has already given GRE. Awesome. And Harish also. Harish, I'm assuming 6.5 in IELTS. Okay. So this is then followed by one of the biggest, almost like a giant mammoth problem that personally I faced, and I know a lot of students faced while working on this step. This usually is going to take you the most amount of time and also the most amount of effort, considering that it's one of the most important steps when it comes to your application process. Can anybody here guess what I'm talking about? The prompts are highest amount of time, most amount of efforts, and usually one of the most important steps. Okay, we've got 2-3 answers. Kenneth says essay, and Masum says SOP. Okay, yes, we actually have gotten a lot of answers that yes, it's your SOP, your LOR, your transcripts, your essays. We will be talking about this thing very in depth today. We're going to explore everything about your SOP and your LOR. Okay, so make sure that you're talking, and make sure if you have any questions, you put those there in the Q&A, and we'll be taking care of them. And next, once you're done with your SOP, once you're done with your LOR, then you have to, if anybody here is looking for scholarship, you want to make sure that you're hitting the priority deadline, which usually is a little earlier than your regular deadline. Then you wait for an admit. If there's a university interview that you want to go for, or if you have to go for, then you go for a university interview. And finally, you get an admit. So this is what the entire application process looks like in 30 seconds for you. This is obviously going to be a lot longer in terms of the time. Usually it's going to take you anywhere from 3, 4, 5 months, can sometimes also extend till 8 months, but that solely depends on your journey. So that is what we have in store. But we'll also, as I mentioned, we'll be talking extensively about what goes into a proper SOP, a proper LOR, and how and what importance does an SOP and an LOR hold for you guys, and how can you make sure that you can actually start essentially gathering information for your SOP, for your LOR, and you can start your journey right now. So I'm going to call Sukanya, our guest for today. And before I start having a chat with her, I want to tell you a little about her. So she's an editor here at Yocket, and she has been behind the successful SOPs of many students. I had the chance to actually have a chat with her right before this session also, and I've been having many conversations with her, and the insights that she has is lovely. I feel that you guys should honestly engage in a lot of conversations with her. You guys, if you have any questions, make sure to ask them today, because her insight and her expertise on SOP, your transcript, LOR, especially the application process, is going to be vital for anybody who wants to start their journey right. So I'm just going to go ahead and, not beat around the bush anymore. I'm going to call Sukanya here so that we can formally start today's session and get away with enough of the talking. So let me just give me 1 minute. Yes, Sukanya. So I think.
Hi, Maury. I hope I am audible.
Yes, you are. Hi, Sukanya.
Hi.
So great to have you here.
Yeah, I'm feeling very lucky, and the energy here is so vibrant. I'm just loving the question answer sessions. The students are wow. That's very nice. Yeah. So hi everyone. My name is Sukanya, and I am from the Northeast. I come from Assam. So I have been an editor for the last 4 to 5 years now. I have been in this student documentation industry for the last 2 years. And yeah, it has been an amazing journey till date. And I have helped lots of students receive good admits in their dream universities. So yeah, that's all about me, I guess.
I think Sukanya has been very modest. I don't think she has included the successful journey that she has been a part of for many Yocket students. And yeah, so I think we're going to have a lot of, I can actually see a lot of questions already ever since I started talking about you. And a lot of questions are related to SOP, LOR. I think the
Right.
first question that I got from Kenneth was, what does an SOP stand for? So let's start there. We'll start from there and
Yes.
we'll build our way up.
Right. So an SOP is an abbreviation which actually defines itself. It is a statement of purpose. Again, for different countries, it might they might have different terms for it. Some countries call it the statement of intent. Some like Germany call it the letter of motivation. So a letter of motivation, a statement of purpose, a statement of intent is basically a phrase that again defines itself. It is a document where you are talking about your purpose for like studying abroad. So an SOP is essentially a document which is of 2 pages or probably 2.5 pages for some countries. And it is your journey till date, your academic, your professional journey till date in a concise and precise manner. It is, so an SOP starts with, of course, an introduction. It has a proper introduction, and then we go on to your journey. It will have an undergrad paragraph. It will talk about your projects. It will talk about your work experiences and what kind of skills you have, if you have certifications, if you have done extra courses. And then we come to the most important part where we talk about why you want to do this particular program that you are going for. It can be for your master's, for your undergrad, for your PhD, and then we come to the university specific paragraph where you're talking about the particular university that you want to go for, followed by your career goals, your future goals paragraph, and then a proper conclusion. So that is what an SOP actually consists of. Uh, Again, for students who are applying to different programs, you will have to write different SOPs for different programs again. It might be the same university, but for different programs, you'll have a different statement of purpose, which will again align with the relevant, we'll talk about the relevant skills and the relevant tools that you have in that particular program. So yeah, pretty much that's it. That's what an SOP actually consists of. Again, for many universities, the term SOP is not used. They have different kind of questions that they want answers to. So what I would suggest students is that always start with the main SOP. Like the structure that I just spoke about, always start with the main SOP, have your SOP ready. And then when you start your application process and you see that, okay, an SOP is directly not needed here, but you still have the draft ready. You still have the essential information written so that you can use those information and answer the questions that are asked instead of an SOP. So even if a university that you are applying for does not ask for a SOP, I would always suggest my students to have an SOP ready. So yeah, that is what like an SOP is.
Right. Actually, you mentioned a very important point, because that was something that I also faced while I was applying to universities. And I did not expect that, because universities did not ask me to upload a document. They had just prompts. Some universities only had 150 words. Some universities allowed me to write up to 600 words per answer. But yeah, so again, I got another question for this only, that what is an LOR? So we've talked about SOP. Can we also shed some light on LORs?
Yeah, definitely. So an LOR is a letter of recommendation. The first thing to remember when you are writing an LOR is that you are basically ghostwriting. You are writing it on behalf of somebody. So the process is basically that you reach out to a professor, or you reach out to an employer, or you reach out to anybody who has been in contact with you in your academic journey or your professional journey, and then you ask them for a letter of recommendation. Nowadays, recommenders do not prefer to always write letters of recommendations, due to which they give the responsibility on the candidate or the students that you write it, I'll read it, I'll edit it, I'll proofread it, and then at the end, I'll just give my signature on it. So that is the process. So a letter of recommendation, the most important thing to remember is that you are writing on behalf of somebody else. So it is very essential to be mindful of what you are writing. In an SOP, since it's from your own perspective, it's your own journey, it's very easy to pen down your thoughts. Whereas in an LOR, it's not very easy, because you have to remember that this is written by somebody else. This is not something that I am writing on my own. Having said that, an LORs, the structural format is that it should be one page. It should be anywhere near 500 words. Basically, it has 4 paragraphs. I will cut it down into, I'll explain it to you as 4 paragraphs. The first one is the introduction, where the recommender is, of course, introducing themselves, their background, they're talking about the domain that they are working in, and then followed by 1 or 2 lines on how they are related to the person that they are recommending, and what kind of, like, what is their one line, how do you describe it? One line judgment of them. Right? It's just, the first paragraph is just 4 to 5 sentences. You move on to the second paragraph, which is the most important one, where the recommender is talking about your projects or the skills that you have or the knowledge of the tools that are relevant to your field. So here again, it's very important to remember that you are writing on behalf of your recommender. So the recommender might not have a extensive idea of the work that you did in your project. What they will know is the end product that was submitted to them. And if they like guided you or mentored you throughout your projects, then they'll have a better idea of whatever was included in the project. So while writing LORs, the first thing that's the basic thing that you need to keep in mind. Other than that, the second paragraph is followed by the third paragraph, which is again on your extracurriculars, which will focus on your interpersonal skills like teamwork, leadership, and what kind of like how you are, how your personality, like how you have grown throughout your contact with this particular recommender. And the fourth paragraph again is a conclusion, and it's followed by the recommender's details. So again, I would like to reiterate this point that while writing an LOR, please be mindful that you cannot include things that the recommender might not know about you. I have had lots of students who include extracurricular activities done outside the college campus. The recommender might not know about it, and they might not even remember things. Even if you have that much of contact with the recommender and told them that, okay, I'm doing this outside my college campus, they might not remember, and it's not relevant. So that's one thing that needs to be in your mind constantly while you're writing an LOR, that you cannot include information that the recommender might not have any idea about. So yeah, pretty much that's what an LOR consists of.
Right. Okay. Actually, you said something really important, which
also, I'm so sorry. Another point is that you should not repeat information throughout your LORs. One of the most important points is that you cannot repeat information. If you're talking about one project in one LOR, the next LOR has to talk about a different project. It cannot talk about the same project, even if your professors are the people. If it was a panel of judges who worked on, who like mentored you on your project, and you are taking a recommendation letter from both the professors, they should not talk about the same project. It has to be somehow tweaked here and there so that it reads differently.
Right. Actually, now I want to also discuss this point. Is the reason why it takes so much time to pin down your SOP, to pin down your LOR, is because it needs to be starkly different. Like all of the things, they need to be cohesive and build a story about your personality, but they have to be really different. I think that was one mistake that I started doing for my LOR, where I started repeating information in both, which was already mentioned in my SOP. And my counselor from Yocket, actually, they were so patient and so kind to tell me that this cannot happen. You have to talk about 2 different things, which was news to me. I'd never known that. And one more question that I almost always get in all of these sessions is how many LORs, in fact, do we need to have? Do we need to have 4? Do we need to have 5? And what is the bifurcation? How many academic LOR do we need to give, and how many professional LORs do we need to give?
So you will need 3 to 4 LORs, not beyond that. Some universities, they might ask for extra LORs, but no, 3 to 4 is, I think, the limit right now. 2 academic and one professional. If you have another professional, sometimes what happens is students just keep one extra LOR handy, so that for some universities they use the first three, for other universities they just tweak the numbers and just use the first two and then the last one. So 4 LORs is a safe bet. If you have if you're doing a documentation process, it's a safe bet to start with, to just get 4 LORs ready, have 4 recommenders ready as well. And yeah, so 2 academic and 1 professional. The other one you can have it like an academic one extra or a professional one extra.
Okay, great. So on the same lines, I think Tabeddin also has a question. They've raised their hand, so you can put the question in the Q&A box. I got one question, that do we need to write more than one SOP? And then another question, actually, I think this is a popular question, is do we need to write multiple SOPs for different programs in the same university? Oh, interesting. Because when applying, only one SOP is sent to the administration department of that university, right?
Okay, can I just take them one by one? What was the first one?
Yeah, so the first is, how do we need to write more than one SOP?
Yes, you do. You do need to write more than one SOP if you are applying to 2 different programs or 3 different programs, or however many programs you're applying to. Why I say that is because if you are applying to one particular program, your SOP will be structured in that particular program's skills and tools. It will talk about that particular program skills and tools or relevant skills and tools. So if you're applying for a different program, again, it might be very similar, but some tweaks here and there are necessary. So you'll have to create different SOPs for different programs that you're applying to. It's better actually. It's only going to help you while like completing the application. Yeah.
Right. So that answered the first question. And I think the second question was also on the same lines, that do we need to put down a different SOP for different programs in the same university? Because ultimately the admissions department would be looking at just one SOP.
I would a very important thing is that, yeah, the answer to the question is yes, you will have to put in different university or different SOPs for the same university, even if you're applying to 2 different programs. Another thing is that all the universities, they run these documents through plagiarism checkers. So sometimes if you're using the same SOP for 2 different programs, the second one that they run through might be flagged. So that is again a huge disadvantage on your end. It will again lead to emails. It will again just prolong the process for you. So why go through so much of trouble? If you can, just if you have time, and I suggest that you take your documentation, pick up your documentation way before the application actually starts. So yeah, it's better to have as many SOPs handy. The introduction, conclusion, the similar paragraphs can of course be a little bit paraphrased. They can stay same, but the projects that you talk about, the work experience, when you're talking about the assignments that you did in your work experience, it's better that you talk about relevant tools and relevant skills to that particular program. So yeah, it helps. It definitely helps if you are ready with different SOPs.
Right. So this is more of a personal question. I'm just going to disregard.
Yes.
If I'm allowed to ask a personal question, actually, and this has been something that has been on my mind for a very long time, since ever since I started my studying abroad journey, ever since I knew that I wanted to study abroad, I had to go through the whole process of shortlisting universities. But when I was even reading about SOP and LOR, I knew that it's going to take me a lot of time, but I wasn't sure that why is it going to take me a lot of time, and why is it so important to make sure that the SOP that you're putting down and your essays, sometimes even portfolios for some universities, the portfolios, your essays, your SOP that you're putting down has to be a stellar SOP. I couldn't understand why it needs to happen. So I'm sure that a lot of students here would also be facing this question, that why is it so necessary to actually put down such a great SOP, and what importance does an SOP hold for your admissions?
Right. So this, the answer to this question is basically whatever you have gone, like if when we're talking about a student, the journey of a student is pretty much established. His or her journey till date, when they are sitting down to actually apply to abroad universities, the journey till date is pretty much established. They cannot do anything about their academic records, good or bad. They cannot do nothing more can be done regarding their certifications or nothing more they can do about the projects that they have already done. The SOP and also the LORs to some extent are the only subjective part of your application. They are the only part where you can express yourself and tell things that are not told by your academic records. So for example, a student might have had a bad experience or a backlog or some kind of weakness due to which there was a gap year, and you do not have any place to explain that. Where do you explain it? You explain it in your SOP. You provide the journey that you have had till date in subjective words in your SOP, or also in your LOR, somewhat in your LOR, not entirely. So that is what makes it so important, because whatever you're trying to portray through your SOP, through your LORs, will not be something that will be available in your academic records, or will be something that is available in your transcripts, in your certifications and everything. Of course, they'll, looking at your resume, they'll know your journey. They'll just see, okay, this person has done this person has done this, right? But what about what you have learned? What about why you want to pursue masters? What about your career goals? These are the important things that actually is necessary while making a decision. Like if I am today a part of an admission committee, I would want these answers from my students, and I would want these answers from the candidates who are applying, and I don't have any other space to ask them. Of course, the interview comes later. If there are for MBA students, the interview, the video interviews, everything that comes later. But for me to get a better idea about you, I need to read your SOP. I need to know what the recommenders think about yourself, think about you. So that's why this entire documentation process is so necessary and so important, because you are telling them the things that are not predominantly written in your transcripts or written in your academic records. You are telling them your journey in your own words. You're being subjective. Again, the most important thing to remember is that we don't have a sure shot way of writing an SOP or writing an LOR. It's a very subjective thing. So if again, many a times students, what they tend to do is they tend to talk to some alumni from the universities. They tend to reach out to seniors from the particular universities, and they have a talk, and then they get to writing, copying the same structure. They just write their SOPs like that. But that's what I always tell my students, that don't do that. It is not your journey. If you are just taking the structure from somebody else, if you are copying whatever somebody else did in their SOP, and then you're thinking that, okay, I will get an admit. It doesn't work like that. This is a subjective document. It needs to be personal. Even though it is talking about your professional and your academic journey, it somehow needs to be through a personal roadmap, through a personal blueprint. You're taking us through your journey. So yeah, I believe that is why it's the most important part. That is why it takes so long, because you need to be precise. You need to sit down and jot down the points first. Then you need to draft. Once the draft is done, of course, nobody is happy with the first draft. It takes so many drafts, so many reviews for us to finalize an SOP. So that is why it's a long process. It's subjective. Firstly, subjectivity makes it more what should I say, it makes it more vast, more massive. That's why it takes so much time and efforts, like you mentioned before, time and efforts. So yeah, I guess that's it, because it's so subjective, because it's so unique to you. That's why I think this process of documentation while going for abroad studies is so massive and so big.
Definitely. I hope everybody is taking notes of this particular point of what goes into your SOP and what should you mention on your LOR, because Sukanya very rightly actually pointed out some of the things that an admission committee would be actually looking for. And even on Yocket, with my journey, with the journey of thousands of other students, this is something that we have always focused on, that not only should it be your journey, but it should reflect who you are, so that you stand out for admissions committee. I've seen so many students actually do it, where they write the journey of some other student, and the people who are actually going to be interviewing you will be industry leaders from your industry. And once they get to asking questions, and if you do not know, that doesn't look really good on your application, doesn't look really good. So you might want to avoid that. And I think I got a very, very interesting question from Ritika, who asked that how much prior do we need to start collecting or preparing this? Like all the documents, first, especially for your SOP and LORs.
I would say that students even start a year back. So there's no perfect time. Make sure that you go through the deadlines of all your shortlisted universities and at least start 2 months prior. Your documentation will take time. Your documentation, when you're sitting down to writing an SOP and your LOR, is going to take time. Many a times what students feel is that they just want to get this thing done quickly, so they take it up exactly a week prior, but it doesn't work like that. If you think that, okay, I'll sit a week before the application deadline and I'll get it done, it's going to be a mediocre work basically. So the more time you have to think and the more time you have to jot down your points, the better it is. At least start 2 months prior. Firstly, see, there's a process. You start with a resume first. You already, since the students who are applying, also the undergrad students, they already have a resume ready. So once you have your resume ready, you have to make it domain specific. You will have to make sure that your resume is not just any resume that you apply for internships or that you apply for jobs to. Your resume has to be domain related. It has to talk about relevant skills, relevant tools. It again has to talk about relevant accomplishments that you have had. Once the resume is ready, you move on to your LORs. So if you take 1 week for your resume, then the next week should be your LORs. LORs, 4 LORs is they'll take time. So take almost 2 weeks probably for your LORs. Once the LORs are done, then you move on to your SOP, which I must say you should give 2 weeks to again. So yeah, 2 months prior is good. If you start way back, better. The sooner the better.
Because you'll also have much more time to actually reflect. And as a Kanya, you are the editor, and I'm sure you've had plenty of experience with students. I'm sure that effort reflects on the SOP, right? That you've actually taken enough effort to sit down and think and write it.
Exactly. It shows. There's a drastic difference. There's a drastic difference between students who just hurriedly send their SOPs for us to edit, and then there are students who have taken their time, who have sat down to it properly, and who have like penned down their thoughts first, built a blueprint, and then written the draft, thought about the draft, and then sent it to us. So yeah, there is a difference, of course. Yeah. So the sooner the better. Always the sooner the better.
Great. And I think I ran a poll just now that is anybody here looking for scholarship? And 97% of people here said that yes, I'm looking for a scholarship. So do your SOP also help you in getting a scholarship? And does your SOP sometimes reflect your need, and for merit-based scholarship particularly? So do SOPs also play a part in getting you a scholarship?
Yes, but we do not predominantly write that we want a scholarship in an SOP. If you are applying for, if you're going for a merit scholarship, of course, it's better that you talk about your accomplishments in such a way that it's already reflected, that you talk about your awards, your certificates, your recognition, any recognition if you might have received. But we do not particularly mention the need of a scholarship while writing an SOP. So if you are applying for a scholarship, you will have different scholarship SOPs as well, which also we provide our assistance in Yocket. The scholarship essays are different. The scholarship SOPs are different than the main SOP, because of course the intent is again different. So in a scholarship SOP, you're talking about why you need the scholarship, and you'll have to talk about in this document you'll have to talk about your personal background, your financial background, and why do you think this scholarship is going to help you, and how this scholarship is going to help you, or how are your future goals aligned with this scholarship. So these are the things that we look after in the scholarship essay. Whereas in a main SOP, if you are applying for a merit scholarship, it's better that you talk about your merits, talk about your accomplishments in such a way that it reflects. So yeah.
Right. I think I'm getting a lot of questions both from YouTube and from this one. So we will be taking your question, guys. Since I'm sure that you guys must be having a lot of questions, as you can already see, please keep putting them in the Q&A and we'll take them one by one. Now, I actually want to understand that you have been a Yocket editor for quite some time and you have been through the entire process. So let's say if I want to join Yocket Premium and I'm a completely new student and I have no direction of how to write an SOP. So how is Yocket going to help me? How are the Yocket editors are going to help me in writing the perfect SOP, which we usually call the admit cracking SOP for your profile? So what is the journey like and how is it different with Yocket?
Right. So at Yocket, your journey is going to start by you getting onboarded, where you will have a dedicated team of counselors first. The counselors are going to sit with you, they are going to brainstorm, and they're going to give you a short list of universities that you should be applying for, and that mostly align with your study abroad, like mostly align with your journey till now, or the journey that you're looking forward to. After that, once the student is onboarded, they go on to the preparing to apply stage. When they are preparing to apply, that is when an editor is assigned to them. Now, this editor is your personal editor, of course. We start our editing process by firstly sharing with the students specifically and specially curated templates. So these are the templates that have been made by senior editors and that have been made by lead editors of our team, who have invested a lot of time and efforts into bringing out this particular template according to your program. And so yeah, the template is firstly shared with you, the template first for your resume. Then once you go through the template and you make your resume, you'll have to share it with us, with the editors, who then take 3 iterations. We give 3 reviews for each of your documentation, and of course it can be additional if we feel that some kind of information is missing, or some kind of, it can be made better. So the process is that the resume is first uploaded, it goes to 3 iterations, and then it is finalized from our end. The finalized resume is going to be a perfect copy. It will have all the necessary details of your journey. Again, it will focus on the relevant and the most specific things that is in alignment with your program. So if you're applying to different programs, again, you'll have to have differently followed templates. Of course, we'll share it with you. All the templates for all the programs that you're applying for will be shared by us. And another thing that is very important here for me to mention is that at Yocket, we do not give writing services. Why we do not give writing services is a very major question. I believe, again, like I mentioned previously, these are subjective documents. These are your journey. This is basically your journey. And how much, like, how helpful it is for you to hire somebody to write your own journey for you is highly debatable. Nobody can express your journey as well as you can, as brilliantly as you can. So the writing services are something that we do not provide. But having said that, we provide editing services. We will provide you with all the blueprints that you will need in order to get your documentation ready. Like I said, specially curated templates will be shared with you for your resume. That will go through 3 iterations of edits. Our editor will look at structure, they'll look at grammar, they'll look at punctuation, they'll look at formatting, they'll look at everything. After the editing is done, the last review will be on proofreading, where each and every sentence will be looked at, each and every word will be looked at, each and every letter will be looked at. And these are done thoroughly. So once the resume is done, we move on to the LORs. Again, for your program, we will share specific templates with you, which will help you, which will basically give you a blueprint, which will basically give you a roadmap of how to write your LORs. Again, at this point, it is also important to mention that students are liable to get on calls also with us if they have any questions, if they want to know more beyond the templates. If they have any such questions, they can always get on calls with us. We have one-on-one student calls with the students regularly. All the students, they get 2 to 3 calls with their editors, so where they can portray their doubts, talk about any issue, talk about any place where they are stuck. And that way, again, the LORs are gone. They go through 3 rounds of iteration, 3 rounds of reviews by editors. After that is done, we move on to the SOP. Again, for your SOP, we will be providing you the blueprint. We will sit down with you, we'll research your background, we will research your journey till date, and we will provide you with the specific template to follow while writing your SOP for one particular program. If you are applying to 2-3 programs through Yocket, again, you will be given the blueprint and the template for each program differently. Having said that, once your main SOP is completed, you move on to the application process, where you start working with your uni-specific SOPs. Now, uni-specific SOPs are also very important. As you mentioned previously, universities have different criteria, they have different prompts, they have different guidelines, which will need you to tweak your SOP again and again. So once, if you think that, okay, main SOP is done, I'm done with my documentation. No, you're not. You will have to sit down, you'll have to do your research, and we will of course help you with it. We are there, the editors will give you all kinds of suggestions that are needed for you to write your university specific SOPs as well. So once the university specific SOPs are done, we move on to the essays and the different small questions that the universities ask in their documentation, in their application. We'll help you with that as well. If needed, we can go through 3 iterations. Sometimes since the main SOP is ready, we just go through 1 or 2 iterations and we complete it. So it's a quick process once your main SOP is ready. After that, once you get an admit, congratulations, yay, the admit is here. Once you get an admit, we move on to the visa SOPs, we move on to scholarship SOPs. So all the documentation, we also, apart from SOPs, the universities, they also sometimes ask for personal history statement. They sometimes ask for diversity statements. So all the essays that are basically going to be needed for you, by you for your applications, all of them will go through. We will give you the templates for them. We will go through each and every document that you upload will be edited with 3 iterations and then will be finalized, of course. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. That's how we move forward with documentation here at Yocket.
Right. So, and also for anybody who's actually curious, and that was something that I was really curious about, is what has been, since I think that I'm getting a lot of questions about this also. So let's just quickly touch on this also. Since Yocket editors have been helping students, right? We have been helping students for such a long time. So what do you think is like one piece of advice that you would personally give to anybody who wants to get and bring out a perfect SOP, perfect LOR from a Yocket editor? So what would be your one-line advice for everybody?
My advice would be that structure your thoughts. Structure your thoughts, sit down with a pen and paper. Do not sit down with your computer. It doesn't always work. Do not sit down with a mobile. If you think that, okay, I'll just pin down everything on my phone. No, don't do that. Take a pen and paper, sit down and clear up your mind. Think about what is the journey that you want from here on. And then make points where you are, suppose you're talking about, okay, fine, I'll sit down and I'll write my SOP today. Okay, good. Have your pen and paper ready. Sit down and make points of what you want to include in the SOP. Give a heading to each of the paragraphs that you are going to write. So suppose you'll say, okay, the first would be my introduction. In the introduction, point wise, I'll mention this. In my undergrad, I'll mention this. Again, remember that you have to be relevant. So if you are going for mechanical engineering and you have a background in CS, then it's not an impossible change in stream. You'll have to focus on the relevant tools and some tools that are common in both CS as well as mechanical engineering. So you'll have to just pen down your thoughts first. Undergrad, then your projects, then your work experience, internships, why do you want to go for masters at this point of time? Why do you want to go for undergrad? Why do you want to go for PhD at this point of time in your life? Just make a blueprint, have a roadmap ready before you sit down to type in your SOP or your LOR as well. So another thing that becomes easy with our Yocket services, because we already have a template ready. We already have a blueprint ready for you. So yeah, I think that's my first and foremost advice, that keep your pen and paper ready, point out, just jot down your points in bullet format or anything, 1, 2, 3, 4, if that works for you. But yeah, I think that is, I think, the best way to start with any kind of documentation.
Right. Okay. Thank you so much for this advice, because on the same question, let's just start taking some questions now. Yeah. I think Tarun asked that I have a 1-year gap in education from my intermediate and bachelor's. So can I include this in my SOP?
Of course, you're going for your master's. Intermediate, not really necessary, but I would suggest that you talk about the gap period in the 3rd or the 4th paragraph of your SOP. If you are starting with an introduction, your undergrad, then you're talking about your projects, then you talk about the gap period. However, one most important thing is that in the gap period, in the gap paragraph that you're writing, do not focus on the gap, rather than focus on what you did in that gap. How do you justify whatever you did in that gap? So if you're saying that, okay, I was ill due to which I missed a few classes, due to which that led to a backlog. Okay, but what did you do in that time when you were having a backlog? How did you, when you set for the examination in the next semester, how did you prepare for it? In that time when you were not studying that subject, how did you prepare for that subject? To focus on supplemental reading, say that I went to the library, I joined study groups. You have to justify your gap. If you are talking about a gap, It's very possible. In fact, it's necessary to talk about a gap. It's necessary to talk about weak grades. If you think that you have weak grades, it's well and good that you explain it, because your SOP is the only place where you get to explain your weak grades or your backlogs or a gap year. So focus on how you revived back from it, how you came back from it, rather than focusing on, okay, I had a gap, I was ill, I could not do this. Okay, fine. Many people have gaps, completely understandable. But what did you do? How did you overcome the challenge is what you should focus on. Try to focus on interpersonal skills. Like, I understood the importance of time management. I understood the importance of discipline during this gap period. I understood the importance of putting my studies before anything else, such kind of things. So a gap paragraph is can be written. Yeah, definitely.
Right. Okay. And one more question is that I've done my graduation from an open school distance learning. So how should I get the LORs?
How should you get the LORs? Do you have any, if you have any professional experience, internship experience, you can take it from your, also for academic LORs. I think that's a question that your counselor, like if you joined our Yocket services, our counselors are the best people who can give you an answer here. What I would say is that, yeah, I think it's possible to get it from whoever the professors. You can just mail them and tell them that, yeah, I'm one of your students and I have had this experience, and if you could kindly just help me out here. If not, you can also take, if you don't have academic LORs, you can take help from your internships or any such kind of HS also should work. I don't know, probably the counselors will be a better answer, can have a better answer to that.
Yeah, so anonymous attendee, they didn't give a name. But if you have very specific questions about your profile, I think a counselor would be the best person to answer. I think this is the same question that Kenneth is asking, that I have a question. I feel like now it is too late for me to apply for a university. I think Kenneth is going for fall 2023 for US. And even if I manage successfully, I think it would be impossible for me or difficult for me to get a scholarship. However, can I apply for university with a scholarship for the January intake?
Yeah, I think you have time. Just look at the priority deadlines, and if you think that you have enough time, you can start with the documentation immediately.
So for Kenneth, actually, since Kenneth mentioned this, and I have to also mention that a lot of students must be feeling this, that now I'm ready for fall 2023. And for people who want scholarship, if you're going for fall 2023, I actually have something to share with you. And this has been one of the things that I always make sure that a lot of people know about. And just give me one moment. I'll just share my screen so that you guys are able to see. And I want you guys to guess exactly what this number is. So we have a big number here, and I want you guys to guess what are these numbers. Just a wild guess is also okay, especially Kenneth from you, since you brought this up. I'm thinking that, and I'm hoping to get an answer from you especially. This is a question that was inspired solely by Kenneth. And I sometimes show this particular data set in some of the webinars, and people are shocked, since Nishtha said application fees. No, not this much. People wouldn't apply if this was the application fee. So I always get the answer, yes. So fees, university fees. Actually, this is not university fees. This is the total number of, it is the prices for all 4 years. No, Kenneth, and Ritika got it correct. It's a scholarship. So this is an individual scholarship numbers that Yocket premium students have gotten for the year 2022. Can you even imagine, guys? This is a total individual scholarship numbers. I see a lot of people asking that, is it the price or is it the cost? No, it's actually the number of scholarship. And even for fall 2023, I think we have started hitting Ivy Leagues already. We have Columbia, we have UC Berkeley this year, and nobody applied to Oxford. So I don't think we'll be having Oxford this year. But we already have Ivy League admits. So I can see that a lot of people don't know about Yocket Premium. Let me make this entire thing easy for you. So Kanya here is an editor from Yocket Premium. So Yocket Premium is a paid side of services. So we are an end-to-end solution for you. So I think in a previous session that I had yesterday with Darshil, who's also a premium member, who has gotten into Carnegie Mellon with a scholarship of $6,000. He said it so perfectly. He said it's a ticket to getting into a top US university. So we start with having a professional counseling with you, where we help you with understanding what course you need to go for, understanding your profile, which country would be best for you. And then also we help with shortlisting universities. I think a lot of people have asked this question that do you guys also help with shortlisting universities? Yes, we do. We'll help you with profile building, the complete evaluation of your profile, and course and country guidance, obviously university shortlisting. And people who are looking to give their GRE, we also have the test preparation platform called Yocket Prep Plus, which will be helping you with your GRE preparation, alumni mentorship, and the complete document guidance for people who are looking for that. And obviously scholarship assistance, RAT, research assistantship or teaching assistantship, entire application. So a lot of people think that with Yocket, you only get one counselor. No, you get a team of counselors. So you get a lead counselor, primary counselor, you get an editor who will be helping you throughout your journey to write your resume, SOP, LOR, essays, everything. You'll get one person who will be reviewing your application before you even put it. You'll get a financial advisor who will actually help you with your loan. So we are an industry mover and we have a lot of big banks, and we'll be actually helping you with getting your loan. And then finally, a visa advisor who will actually be helping you, making sure that you get a visa with a 95% success rate, which is huge. So this is what Yocket Premium is all about. And for people who have been here and who have been asking such consistent and important questions like Nisha and Ritika and Kenneth, and also anonymous attendee, a bunch of anonymous attendees, since you guys are so motivated and passionate to move forward in your career and go forward and get a top university, and Rishabh just asked, how much do you charge? So Rishabh, since you asked this question, definitely did not have it planned. Since you asked this question, since Sukanya is also here, we were actually discussing this right before we started this session, that we would want to give a special discount for just this session. For people who are attending this particular session, we have a very special discount for every person here. But for that, what you need to do is you need to drop down your numbers and you can throw your numbers in. Our team will get in touch with you. We'll understand your profile and we'll give you a very special discount. Now, this is not just 10, 20%. This is a flat total discount of our entire chart. So people who are interested in that, just like Tarun, and don't worry, your numbers won't be displayed on a public platform. It's just for us and our team will get in touch with you. So Rishabh, just like you, if you're interested, and Kenneth, since you want to get a scholarship for the next intake, make sure that you're dropping your numbers so that our team can actually get in touch with you and we can discuss your profile, and we can also map out the next steps that you have to take to make sure that you're not only starting early, but you're starting for the best and the topmost universities with a heavy chance of scholarship. I think Sukanya here will also tell us that for fall 2023, our numbers have been amazing and we've just started rolling out admissions. Right?
Yeah. It has been massive. It was a very high peak for us. There have been days and nights where we did not sleep and we just worked with students and we got their documentations ready just before the deadline. So yeah, the admits have also started rolling. Amazing admits all around.
Definitely. And admits with huge number of scholarships. I think 6,000 has been a very general norm that everybody, I open the group and, oh, this person has gotten 10,000, 6,000. It's always accredited to the editors. So our team here has been working day and night to make sure that you guys are getting to the top universities. So where should the number be dropped? Hussein, you can drop it in the Q&A only. We'll pick it up from there. Anonymous attendee, I'm looking for countries like Germany and Italy. We'll be able to help you with that. We've gotten actually a lot of students this year for Germany also. So if you drop your number, we'll be able to help you with that. So
we have had students from students who are going to Spain and France as well. It was new for me. I had to do a lot of research, but wow, it was amazing. People who are going for aerospace engineering in France, and they're getting scholarships as well. So
yes, definitely great number of scholarships. And more than that, I think instead of just Indian students, we've had students from across the world. We've had students from Bangladesh, Pakistan, and even South Korea, China for that matter.
Kenya as well.
Definitely. So, and we've gotten so that I can keep talking about how amazed I am with the scholarship numbers this year and with the admits for this year. So, okay, I can see a lot of numbers dropping in. So thank you guys. For anybody who wants who wants Yocket Premium and who wants to start their journey the right way for top universities, drop your number. In the meanwhile, let us just continue to wrap up some of the questions that we can. Yeah.
Okay. Did somebody have a question from undergrad?
Yeah, actually, we have 2-3 students here for UG, but I don't think we have a specific question for undergrad. They must have asked us. Okay. I think Hussein asked that does industry experience provide an upper hand?
It does. If you have industry experience, internships, probably, yeah, it really it does provide you an upper hand. But again, at the same time, it depends on how you write your SOP. If you can portray your experience, portray the knowledge of the skills and the tools, the knowledge of the tools, then the industry experience is not that necessary. For undergrad, mostly focus on your common app. The main SOP is of course there because they ask different kinds of questions, and these are mostly personal, interpersonal, like dependent on interpersonal skills, like what kind of event changed your life. They don't focus much on your experience. Undergrad essays, they don't much focus on your experience all the time. The main SOP, it's of course you better to keep the main SOP handy, but focus on your common app. The common app is I love undergrad students for their common app. The common app is one of the most interesting document to edit. It's very versatile. The students, they talk about such different things, such different experiences. Very, very good to know. So yeah, industry experience, good if you have internships and such kind of, if you have work experience, well and good, but internships would pretty much do it. Yeah.
Right. And I think Masumi Parekh, I hope I'm taking your name right. It would be devastating if I'm not. So do we need to contact your professor or supervisor before we apply to university? For Canadian universities? Actually, Masumi, since you've asked this question, you're in for a very big revelation that I also had. So I think, Sukanya, you might want to help us. That do we need to contact the supervisors before?
If you're going for a thesis based MA, you have to, sorry, MSc, you have to. If you're going for thesis based masters, for your PhD, of course you have to. For undergrad also, students sometimes prefer to write a pre-app mail. The pre-app mail is a mail that is supposed to be sent to your professors, where you are talking about your journey till date, and you are also asking to be made a part of their team, to maybe made a part of their research team. So once the professor accepts you, then you can start with the application process. For some yeah, so the basic answer is for PhD, definitely. For thesis based masters, yes. Undergrad, sometimes the students, they prefer to send a pre-app mail, not always necessary though.
I think she's also asking for writing your LORs. So I think so that do we need to contact professors before we apply for LORs or after we have put down the application?
No, before you'll need to talk to your LOR, you need to talk to your professors, because you are going to write on behalf of them. Some professors, they like to write the LORs themselves, so well and good for in such cases. But of course, you'll have to get in touch with your professors first, take their consent, discuss with them that this is how I want, this is the place that I want to go for, and these are the things that I would want you to write for me. And if they say that, if they give their consent saying that, okay, yeah, go ahead, write for me, I'll just read and I'll edit it and I'll give my signature, well and good, then yeah. So you'll have to contact your professors first, and only then start with the application process, because some professors might not be available. Some professors might not, sometimes professors, they go on vacations, and then there's a huge this thing happens with a lot of students who previously write one LOR, and then when they go for a signature, they don't find that professor. So each LOR has to be specific to the professor, to the recommender that who's writing it, right? So you have to have a proper talk with your recommender before, take their consent, and only then start with the LOR. So it helps if you're just doing it well before starting the application process.
And also in some cases, very slim cases, but professors also deny
Yeah.
to give you an LOR.
So, yeah, possible. Professors can deny. It
yes,
depends.
keep that in mind also.
Yeah.
I think Ritika asked that what is the difference between an academic LOR and a professional LOR?
Okay. Again, in the name itself, the academic LORs are supposed to be written by your professors. The professional LOR will come from your employer, a previous employer, or anybody. If you have done an internship with somebody and you had a manager there who you have worked with professionally, basically. The structure when you're writing an LORs is predominantly the same. The first paragraph will talk about your it's an introduction of the recommender, how the recommender knows you, if the recommender has mentored you for a professional LOR, if the recommender has mentored you, or if they have got like he's a TL or something, he's a manager and he has seen your work in some kind of project. So yeah, that's it. And the second paragraph will again talk about how your work has been with them, with this particular company. And then the third paragraph again would be extracurriculars, co-curriculars, where you're talking about interpersonal skills, like this particular also, one thing that you need to remember while writing your LOR is that it should have instances, it should have real instances from your like academic journey or your professional journey. Many a times what students do is they just just write like this, he is very hardworking, he is very honest, and that's it. That won't do. You'll have to explain, you'll have to give circumstances where the recommender saw you being honest or saw you being hardworking. So if you say that during while working on this project, he put in extra efforts and extra time, he stayed back after working hours, and then he got the project done well before the deadline. So you will have to talk about instances, you'll have to give examples where the recommender noticed these things in you, both for professional and for academic. So in the academic LOR, you'll have to talk about in my class, this he was very interested in such kind of these topics. While having a discussion on this topic, he asked this kind of a question. So always you'll have to back up your statements with examples. So if you just write he is a hardworking person, it's not going to help. If you're just writing that he has a penchant for towards practical aided techniques of learning, where, how, so you'll have to always back up. Again, to go back, reiterate the first thing, that the question was difference between a professional and an academic. Mostly is that the academic LOR is taken from a professor, and the professional LOR is from a person who you have professionally worked with. So that the structure is more or less the same. It has to talk about relevant skills, relevant tools, and interpersonal skills, whatever, like leadership and everything like that.
Right. And also these small things that you have to put in an instance instead of just writing your skills. Actually, I also got to know it from my editors. That was something. So I always say this, that go on Google, and I see a lot of students who say that, can I just write my SOP and can I just wing my application process? You definitely can, but there are so many small things that only an industry person who has been in the industry for quite some time would be able to know. So guys, you want to make sure of that. I think Rishabh, Amrish said, I'm interested in Yocket Premium. Amrish, have you dropped your number? Yes. And Rishabh, since you said that, can you tell me the budget for studying in German public universities? Usually universities in Germany are free, but if you actually want to know the exact budget that it's going to take you to apply to universities abroad, you can drop your number, and one of our team members will actually get in touch with you to discuss this thoroughly. And Darshan says, already registered for Yocket Premium US Spring 2024, hoping to get the best. Darshan, you will. You'll get into top universities. I don't think you should be worried about anything. Okay, great. So guys, final 1 minute, not 1 minute anymore. Final 2-3 minutes, no, not even 2-3 minutes, final 30 seconds. Final 30 seconds for anybody who wants to drop their numbers to make sure that they're getting Yocket Premium and join the cohort of thousands of students who have landed top universities, great scholarship, and meet amazing editors and counselors like Sukanya, who will actually be helping you with every single thing for your journey. I personally have been through the journey. I know how daunting it can become, but trust me, the counselors here will become your friends, will become your confidants, and you'll have amazing time. You'll have amazing counselors like Sukanya. And with that being said, okay, I've gotten a lot of, okay, awesome. So guys, by the time I sign off, you guys can still drop in your number if anybody is interested. But thank you so much, Sukanya, for the awesome, amazing session today. We were actually hoping to wrap it up quickly, but earlier, and I actually got in conversation with you and I forgot track of time. It was such a lovely session today. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for all the amazing things that you have told us today.
Thank you. It was amazing to talk to so many students, and specifically you as well. So yeah, it was great.
Awesome. Thank you so much to every single person, and whoever has dropped their numbers, we'll soon get in touch with you. Just give us some time, within the 30-40 minutes, within the 50 minutes, we'll get in touch with you guys to discuss your journey forward. And thank you so much to every single person who's joined today. I can honestly feel the excitement, and I can see such vibrancy in the audience today, that we had a lot more audience today. I think people who are watching us live on YouTube also, and I'm constantly getting questions from there as well. And I feel that the entire audience base today was just so energetic, which obviously makes us really hyped up, and you can see the excitement in our face once we see people. And yeah, that's all for today. And thank you so much to every single person who has joined in from different parts of the country and with different interests, different countries in mind. Once you come to Yocket, trust me, once you come to the other side of the screen right here, you guys are going to have a great time, great scholarship, great admin. That is something that I want to tell you guys. Okay, so with that note, thank you so much for today's session, Sukanya. I am so beyond grateful for this
Thank
session.
you. Thank you. No, thank you to all the students over here, and thanks to you as well. It was amazing. Yeah.
Okay, and I'm sure you guys must have jotted down every single important point. And thank you so much to everybody. I wish you all the very best for your application process for spring 2024. Guys, buckle up. For fall 2024 start right now, you want to make sure that you're putting together a stellar application. With that note, thank you everyone and have a great night. We'll see you soon. Thank you so much. Bye bye everyone.